Welcome into Butchie's Den Sweet 16 edition, a little live watch party. As you can see, we've got some great games going on right now. Texas is up by 1 against Purdue. Iowa is down by 1 against Nebraska. You can catch that all on the left side. We're going to welcome in Benjamin Wargel of the Badgers on SI right now. What's going on, sir? How are you doing? We'll get your audio fixed, but right now that might be an error on our. That's the beautiful thing of joy, the joy of what live is. But one of the reasons we wanted to go live is because there was going to be some great Sweet 16 games going on right now, and really the next today, tomorrow, it's going to be phenomenal basketball to watch. But we'll see. Did we get the audio fixed now? We do not yet. We will work on that coming up next here. But one of the biggest things that I love about this Sweet 16 weekend, it's a great weekend, but it's going to be elite games. The Big Ten has 6 teams in the 16. I think it's just been a great year for the Big Ten. That being said, they've got to find a way to finish this out. We know for sure we're going to get one Big Ten team in the Elite Eight because Nebraska and Iowa will find a way. But this Texas-Purdue game is so intriguing. I thought Purdue was going to pull away from this. I know the line had it at 8.5, and it is a lot closer than that. So I think overall right now, when you look at this, both these games are elite games going on. I got the dual screen going on myself. I got the TV up. I got the iPad rocking and rolling right now. And yes, I did not pay for it. I'm actually, yanking my parents' Spectrum TV app to make sure that I got the second game available. But that's the biggest thing going on right now. Absolutely love what this is. Now, Purdue, I thought that they'd come out and really start to dominate this Texas game. In Texas, the physicality of Texas has been so good in what they've done. And I think that's why they're sticking around right now. It's been good. The Iowa-Nebraska game has been elite as well. And I think that's the biggest thing when I watch these games and how this plays out. Like, we have had some really, really good basketball, and it's been exciting to watch in general. This tournament has been good. Obviously, with Wisconsin bowing out in the first round, it has been one of those questions I put out there to a lot of people. Are you still watching? Are you paying attention still? Well, for me, yes. And I think all of you are doing the same thing as well. It's been fun in what this is. I know the Texas-Purdue game, Texas, again, just finding a way to stay in this game. Now, fouls have been a big deal. Cam Heide just fouled out. Thank you, Danner. I appreciate the update on that. You're a little bit ahead of me. But this is what this has been. Texas has drilled big shot after big shot in this game. And Purdue has to find a way to get this thing done. This team has so much experience in what they're doing. I'm shocked that this game is as tight as it is. I really thought the interior of Purdue was going to find a way to extend themselves out a little bit, but we'll give it a shot now. I think we've got Benjamin Wargel. We're going to give him a shot right now. We're going to try to add him to the stage. We'll see if that plays out here. Hey, sir,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you doing?
Good, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a great day. Hey, thanks for joining Butchie's Den. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet, buddy.
It's been fun. We've got great games going on right now. You've got Nebraska, they're up 4. You've got Texas, they're up 4 is what I've got, but it's live all over the place. With the Big Ten having 6 teams, and with a lot of Badger fans thinking should have probably been 7 with Wisconsin playing later on tonight, how do you evaluate this Badger team?
But they went 6-3 against the Sweet 16, and they're at home probably not watching because they're bitter about not being in this field. I mean, it was a weird year, Brian. You and I had a front row seat at it. And I think people will come out of the woodwork when your team gets eliminated, and they'll voice their opinions after maybe not watching all 35, 36 games through the entire year, because they just flipped on at the end of February, beginning of March. They see, a 5 seed. Oh, this team should be Sweet 16. And then they don't get there. And then everyone has their opinions as to why. I think if you make the field of 68, you had a good year. I think that the expectations coming into this season maybe were a little skewed because you had two really good pieces, but you had so many unknowns. And that's what you and I kind of saw for the first 2 months of the season was a team that really didn't have an identity or were struggling to really formulate the identity that they needed to be successful in the Big Ten. And then you see this team get an ugly win against UCLA, January 5th or 6th, somewhere in there. And it really started to push this team in the right direction. And for the last 2 months and change, they were up there as one of the best teams in the country in terms of they could compete with any team in the country. They still took these really weird losses, USC at home, at Oregon. The Indiana loss can be debated as with what
For
happened
sure.
in overtime in foul call. But you saw what they did in the Big Ten tournament. Without Nolan Winter, and you go, this team is a Sweet 16 team. This team can compete with anybody. And then we get to the bracket, you see High Point, and you have flashbacks to what they faced 2 years ago with James Madison. A really good mid-major, an old mid-major team, a team that can score a lot of points, that you knew was going to push this team defensively. And that maybe was the underlying issue with this team all year. They set all these offensive records, 80 points per game, scoring in the 90s. Nick Boyd, John Blackwell, all these guys doing great offensive things, but it's still kind of masked that this team was kind of an average to an above average defensive team. It took a long time for them to get there. And they got there at points. Against Washington, they did some good things in the regular season. Against Maryland, they did a lot of really good things. But defensively was always kind of the Achilles heel of this team. And you saw that throughout the game against High Point, a team that could score a lot. 90 points per game, 90.4, whatever it was. And Wisconsin stressed them a little bit, but they didn't stress them enough to get High Point outside of their comfort level. And you watch the game, High Point out Wisconsin. They shot a lot of threes.
Wisconsin only had 25 threes. I mean, that was the reality of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they almost hit their season average by halftime, Butchie.
Yeah.
And it just was, and Wisconsin only shot 9 in the second half. And so you end on a really sour note. And I think that really sours your overall takeaway of the season. It sours your thoughts on the coaching staff. It sours your thoughts on the people that the coaching staff brought in. And I think that's unfair. I know this is kind of a long-winded answer to your question, but I thought this team had a good year, considering all the things they had to replace off a team that was really good the year before that maybe fell a round or two short. And you look at what the remaining part of this field, I think 5 teams in this Sweet 16 have at least 4 starters back from a team that with the same coach. I think 9 teams have at least 3 starters. One of those teams that's not included is Iowa, but they have 4 starters. But
I was going to say, but you should. They understand what Ben McCollum is and where they're from Drake. Even though they're not part of that, they are part of that, in my opinion.
Exactly. And those are your best teams, your teams that are older. That's why the portal has been important for Wisconsin the last couple of years, is because you add veteran pieces to make your team older. And Greg has said it multiple times over the years, your best teams, at least at Wisconsin, are your older teams. And that's what he had to do this year. He had to get this team older. He had to kind of cobble together some seniors and hope that it worked. And it didn't really work the first couple months. It really worked in January, February, and early March. And it kind of worked against High Point. High Point just hit some great shots. They hit some threes off balance. I mean, you kind of boil it down. High Point really had a phenomenal game. And Wisconsin didn't play half bad, but you see that Wisconsin lost to a double-digit seed once again. And for the 4th time in the last 9 years, you go, oh, well, they're a good regular season team. And I guess that's what you have to hope for. Oh, I guess Wisconsin's a mid-major team. I saw that take this week too. It's hard when you have a 1-game playoff to determine your season. There's a lot that gets focused on that I think takes away what you did the prior 4 or 5 months leading up to that moment.
So here's a question that came into the chat, and I think it's everything that that we're talking about. But what are the chances that Blackwell and Winter return? I think the potential we saw with Austin Rapp, his potential has really got much better on the defensive side this year overall. But and I mean he talked about he said after the game, he said I'll be back. That's what he said. Now obviously there's a lot of emotion after a game. Is
Sure.
that true? What are you hearing based on all of that stuff that's out there? We're seeing part of it. Jack Robinson, is entering the transfer portal. That we know for sure. That's really all that's kind of been dropped recently here. What have you found out?
Yeah, I mean, you get a chance. You don't really want to talk to these guys about their future before the season's done because they're going to tell, I'm just focused in on next. And then right after the game, we don't get a chance to talk to these guys again until the fall, maybe. And so it's a question that has to be asked, but it's not really the best environment to ask those questions. Jack Janicki said he would be back. Austin Rapp said he would be back. Zach Kinzinger, Hayden Jones, all these guys said they're really looking forward to a full offseason. Alexis Bilauskas, kind of the same thing. But with respect to those guys, you really need to focus on your two key guys in Winter and Blackwell. I mean, those were the two that this team was built around this year, and those are the two that Wisconsin wants to build around next year.
What do you think the percentages of keeping both of those guys?
I look at what happened the year prior, leading into this year, Brian. Nolan was almost immediate. Like, hey, I want to be back. And he said that before. And where do I sign? I want to come back. And, he went through the process a little bit, I think, with his dad. His dad kind of advised him. I don't know if he really had like an agent, so to speak. I think he eventually got one.
He had, exactly, correct. Yep.
Eventually he got one, but for a long time, it was just him and his dad and his family kind of handling it. John went through the NBA process last year, and I think we all thought that he was going to come back, that the process was going to make him better, and it did without question. I think if you look at John Blackwell now, I don't think you can point at him and say he is NBA ready. I wouldn't be surprised if he went through the process again to get that feedback, to continue to improve. He came out and said last year, if I don't enter the draft, I'm coming back to Wisconsin. And he turned down some pretty hefty numbers to come back to Wisconsin. He took a pay cut to come back to Wisconsin.
For sure.
He's very loyal to what Greg Gard and this staff have meant to him. First power conference offer, the school that believed in him, all these other schools overlooked him. If I'm another school, I'm throwing a big contract down in front of John Blackwell, and I'm saying, reject this. I did reject this offer.
Okay, so will he reject it? Because that's what's going to happen. That's
exactly.
I mean, that's bottom line, Ben. That's happening. There is going to be a school that is going to throw down a number and a big number that Wisconsin probably can't match. That's right. The reality of this. Like,
absolutely.
We both know that. I mean, what's the chances of John staying?
I would probably say 50-50. And the reason I say that is John went through an emotional roller coaster this year. He talked about this after the game on Thursday, that this was mentally the toughest year he had to deal with. And a lot of it had to do with on-court stuff. He went through that big slump in December. He had injuries. He kind of got back into a rhythm. He had another slump late in the year. There was times where John looked like an all-conference player, and there was times where John just looked lost out on the court. And you have to wonder does he want a fresh start? Does he want to go to a program that maybe is in a better position to compete at a higher level than Wisconsin is? Does he want to go to a program that's going to offer him a big dollar sign? That's what Chucky Hepburn did. Chucky Hepburn was as loyal to Wisconsin as John Blackwell is as loyal to Wisconsin.
I mean, as he could be. Like, that's just the reality of this. Matter of fact, I was calling a Wisconsin Hurt game today, and Chucky's at the Raptors 905, and he's coming back from knee surgery. But like, Wisconsin fans forget about this, and I'll say that, like, you can't get upset at these guys at all if they decide to move on. And it's not because Wisconsin doesn't have money, but like, Wisconsin has enough money. Like, they need more. Like, that's obvious, but like, but they have to be extremely strategic. Yeah, extremely strategic in what and where they're going to give it. And given 60-some% of the budget to keep one player just isn't in the cards. It isn't.
That's kind of what happened with Chucky.
Yep.
They made a decision to not go that route. They gave it to some other players. A couple of those players didn't quite work out, but a guy named John Tanji really did work out, and they were a better team because of it. And I think it made John Blackwell a better player because they had to move John Blackwell to a different spot from the 2 to the 1. And I think it made him a more well-rounded player. So if I had to guess, I would say that both Winter and Blackwell are back. That is just my gut. I don't have any insider knowledge on that. I haven't talked to either player since the season ended. But just the way that they have
I'm going to tell you right now, your gut is better than my gut.
Yeah. I think just the way that
I don't see both of them being back, but I don't. Like, I think it's
fair.
That's tough. Like, your gut is better than mine.
I think Noah Winter has a better chance of coming back before John Blackwell does.
I would agree with
Noah Winter. I think Noah Winter is the bigger guarantee than John Blackwell is. Because Noah, once he was kind of pressed a little bit, he says, I want to be back. John didn't really go that far. And so I think he has a lot to sort out, both of what he wants to do from an NBA perspective. And I wouldn't be surprised if he goes in the portal and just see what's out there, because a lot of these guys going there last year who maybe don't have that guaranteed NBA contract say, hey, this is my last chance at a really big payday.
This is the most money they're ever going to make. No question.
Exactly.
We've got, real quick here, we've got a review going in the Purdue-Texas game, or we had one. It was a Duke-Wisconsin fingertip review again, which is out there. It actually did not go Purdue's way. It went Texas. Texas got it. Didn't get anything out of it, though. Purdue ends up getting to the free throw line, going up 1 point here. The 73-70, we got a great game, 150, so a minute and a half left in that game. Iowa, Nebraska, 65-65. Plus, we got Arizona going on later on night, and they got to cover the 8.5. So that's always a good thing.
I didn't realize how much Iowa and Nebraska hated each other. Fan bases. Until it's phenomenal. And I love that is a close game, and that one of those fan bases are going to be able to hold that over the other for eternity. It's going to be fantastic.
It's unbelievable. We've got a minute, 50 seconds left, or a minute left in Texas, Purdue, a 1 point game. Iowa, Nebraska tied up with 2:28 going on right now as well. So great college basketball. Last thing I want to kind of touch base with you, with Ben, is the biggest thing with this Badger team, but Big Ten in general. Is this the year the Big Ten wins a national championship?
Odds are in their favor, right? I mean, you have probably
so the odds are there, but is this the year? Like, they have 6, and the storyline is this is what it is. That being said, like, if Purdue finds a way to win this thing, they're up 1 right now. I don't think they beat Arizona. Mm-hmm. I don't think Nebraska beats Houston. Like, that Illinois-Houston game is going to be phenomenal, because if Illinois doesn't get out of that, I don't think either one of those teams beat Houston.
Yeah, I can see Michigan State coming out of that region. I think Duke is flawed, especially with the injury that they have.
Now, Caleb Foster might be playing. That was the most recent news that came out today, which would be big.
Mm-hmm. UConn has obviously been there here recently, but Tom knows how to get guys ready. And you and I have seen Jeremy Fears play a lot this year, and how he can turn it up to a level. And that's another team. Those are all guys that Tom recruited. That's a veteran, battle-tested team. I would just goes up 6, not to jump on you. Then Nebraska goes 3. But Bennett Sturts, by the way, that's the other. Finish that conversation. The last one I want to leave you with is: should Bennett Sturts been a first team over Nick Boyd? No.
Really?
No. He wasn't on my list. I mean, Bennett had a great start to the year, and I would argue that Bennett Sturts is more important to Iowa than Nick Boyd was to Wisconsin. I think Iowa's not in this position without Bennett Sturts. I think that's a fairly benign argument. I don't think that's a hot take. But you look at the numbers against top opponents in the Big Ten, top 4 seeds, top 25 opponents, and Nick Boyd has Bennett Sturts beaten by a mile. And even from a head-to-head perspective, mean, Ben Sturtz had a great game against Wisconsin, but Nick Boyd almost has a triple-double in the game. I just thought Nick Boyd in bigger moments was more impactful than Bennett Sturtz was, especially at the end of the year when Nick Boyd was playing the way that he was playing. And to have that consistency, 10 points, double digits every game, 20 points, I think the most in 30, 40 years at the school. Bennett Sturtz is a great player, without question. I thought Nick Boyd, though, from an individual perspective, was worthy of being in that top 5 list, especially being an honorable mention All-American at worst. I thought very surprising that Nick didn't make that list as well. But I think Michigan's going to win this whole thing. I think Michigan, just top to bottom, this entire year has been dominant. They know how to win close games. They know how to win big games. To win for as competitive as the Big Ten was this year, for them to win it by 3 full games. Yeah, I think Michigan has got the best. Obviously, it's got the best chance here to win for the Big Ten.
Well, Ben, I appreciate you joining the Den. Tell everybody where they can catch your work. Especially the Badgers on SI. Tell them where they can catch you and what you got dropping.
Yeah, BadgersOnSI.com. That's where I am. We're just wrapping up the season. We have a Zach Kinzinger feature tomorrow. Just kind of emptying out the recorder, Brian, a little bit. Was hoping to have another week's worth of stories.
We all were.
Yep, exactly. We're looking at what we'll be focusing on transfer portal stuff. I got some recruiting stuff. Talked to Isaac Watrado, director of recruiting and scouting for Wisconsin. Also wrote a cool story about him and Nick Boyd too. That's on my Twitter page at the Badger Nation that you can find. So just a lot of basketball stuff, and then gonna go on hiatus for a while. Gonna find the golf clubs, Brian. I'm gonna channel my inner Brian Butch and tee it up for a couple weeks.
Well, then you better get enough golf balls, because if you're gonna tee that inner Brian Butch up, you're gonna use a lot of them. So
I'll be ready.
All right. Well, thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Brian. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks. Yep. That's Ben Wargel of Badgers on SI. We got some great games coming up right now. Iowa up 6. They were able to get a layup and score and then make the free throw. So they go up 6 here with 30-some seconds left. 40 seconds left. They just foul. This Texas-Purdue game, Purdue is up by 3 right now. And again, what makes these games elite, what makes it fun, is these end-of-game situations. Right now, Iowa's up 6, 42.6. Purdue just scores to go up 3. They go to a TV timeout with 38 seconds left. Nebraska's in here, 42. If you're Nebraska in this situation, you've got to find a way to try to get a turnover. There, Sam Hoiberg tries to. Bennett Sturtz keeps the ball, and now they're flying it back and forth, and they're going to try to get another layup here, and they do. They not only get a layup, they get an and one, too. My goodness, Iowa's going to find a way to pull this off. There is not a part of me that thought Iowa was going to pull this off. This Nebraska team all year long was special. I had a chance to call 3 of their games on the Big Ten Network, and it was absolutely enjoyable. They share the ball. They pass the ball. I did not see Iowa doing this. But I'll say this about Iowa. Belief is a real deal. Belief is real. And after you beat the 1 seed, the belief you have in what you're trying to do goes a long way. And to me, that's what I think this Iowa team is tapped into. Yes, Bennett Sturtz and what he's been elite. But the way that they play, and Fulgaris just, again, has taken over. And I think it's been one of the best stories in basketball. I really do. I'm watching Iowa live against Wisconsin. I was not that impressed. Watching film on Iowa, I was impressed, because I'm like, okay, there's something there. There's something there. It's the pace. I also think this. And any comments, any questions, hit them in the comments. We'll get to them. I think playing a team 3 times, is extremely tough. And I think that's what happened here. Is Iowa had the blueprint. They found out how to kind of make this thing work. And they've really put the clamps defensively on Nebraska. Nebraska was not able to get the movement. Now you've got Texas that just shot at 3. Purdue is able to get and force a jump ball, but that Texas 3 was – I'm sorry. There's nothing better than this. Goes final, Iowa, 77-71, Iowa, Elite 8. Going into the season, nobody thought Iowa was going to be an Elite Eight team. That's just the bottom line. Nebraska, a heck of a season. A heck of a season for this Nebraska team. They have done everything that you need to do, but this Iowa team is just defensively gritty. The shock that they've had, I mean, it surprised me. Now, the biggest thing that happened in this game as we break it down, 3-point game, Iowa, baseball pass to Fulgaris. He goes in and gets the and one, and that's why they go 6. I would have loved Nebraska. That's the number one thing in basketball. You have to have a safety back. You can't get beat with the baseball pass. That's exactly what Nebraska does. Nebraska gets beat by the baseball pass, goes up 6, and it really has changed it. By the way, I did have Iowa as a second weekend team. When we broke down the Big Ten teams, there was one team that I said could be a second weekend team that I didn't think a lot of people had, and it was Iowa. The reason was I thought Iowa, based on matchups. Now, I also say, I did not have them beating Florida. I didn't think that was a good matchup. But Iowa's physicality against Florida was something that was amazing. And they're able to find a way and make this happen. And I just, again, credit to Bennett Sturts for taking over. Credit to this Iowa team for what they've done, how they've gone. And I just think it's been one of those groups that has bought in defensively. And it's the pace at which they play. They slow you down, and they're comfortable. They're comfortable making other teams play to their pace. Here you see Purdue foul Vakaitis from Texas. I think I said that name right. From Texas, as he's a 67% free throw shooter. Purdue fouls him with 20.9, sends him to the line, makes the first one. And it'll be an interesting finish to this Texas-Purdue game as well. Again, we've got a couple more guests coming in. We got Bill Schmidt from Fox Sports Wisconsin coming in. We got Nick Olson from Badgers 24/7. Plus, we have one of the biggest Illini fans that I know joining right before tip at about 9 o'clock, and Alex Thomas from The Score in Appleton. So we got a lot more guests coming in to Butchie's Den as we do a little bit of a Sweet 16 watch party right now. But Iowa punched their ticket. Texas made both free throws. It's a 1-point game. Purdue inbounds. They get fouled immediately. CJ Cox gets fouled and is going to go shoot 2 free throws here. So execution down the stretch. And here's the question I have. Do you trust Purdue with all the experience? Do you trust Purdue to finish this thing out? To me, yes. I was extremely high in mid-February. I was extremely high in late or early March when Wisconsin beat Purdue. Now, I did say that after that, I said, man, they just can't guard the guards at an elite level. Well, that's changed. They've done a better job there. But it was funny. Wisconsin beats Purdue, and it's their senior night, and I had a chance to walk back onto the court and look at kind of the senior night and just take it in. I had to get an interview to Matt as we ran it. And the look in the Purdue's eyes of their seniors was one of a unique look of one of, okay, we're not done. We're more than disappointed right now. And I think it's one of those biggest things that, like, I look at and I say, like, the senior leadership goes a long way. And I think that's what you're seeing right now. And it's a thing that you got to play into a little bit. Here you see Texas attacking, and I love this. Oscar Clough with the foul and the and one, 11.9 left. If you're Oscar Clough, you can't foul in this situation. You've got to get out. You've got to hedge that ball screen. If you're not there and you're late, you can't give an and one situation. You are up 1. There is no reason for you to be anywhere near the body. You've got to let them go for the layup. They don't. And now it's the and one opportunity, and Texas makes the free throw. So, again, I've just talked about all the experience, and what happens? Oscar Clough, who doesn't have that experience, is the one to foul out. Let them go score. You can make free throws. You know exactly what you're doing. So it is one that I am, again, you look at and say, we've had 2 great elite games right now in the Sweet 16. It's been absolutely phenomenal. Welcome to us right now is Billy Schmidt from Fox Sports, Wisconsin. Hey, what's going on, sir? We got some great games.
Oh my goodness, that's about as great of a finish as you can get. I tapped in on the Varsity app. I know you know all about the Varsity app.
So you might be a little bit ahead. I got 77-77 still.
Oh, so no. Oh yeah, we're watching this one. We're watching this finish together. No, I had tapped in with our boy Dolph on the Iowa broadcast. What a finish those guys were able to enjoy, because that's a celebration unlike any other that they're going to get there in Iowa City. What a turnaround, man. For McCollum, that's an incredible, incredible story that you can barely even make up.
I love it. But when you look at what they've done, like, it's not – I mean, they finished middle of the pack in the Big Ten. They've just got hot in March. Now, that's all that people care about. That's what they were worried about with Fran, and that's what they were worried about there. To me, that is one of the biggest ones that I look at and I go, yeah, I get it. But is that what we're doing? Like, is that what we're doing?
Is that not what you and I would sit around at the Final Four and just be like, I mean, this is all that people will care about, but you won't watch you won't necessarily see and feel the rest of it. And I mean, it's remarkable though, because that's a dude that people say this guy doesn't win in the tournament.
Yeah.
Well, apparently McCollum just wins in tournaments.
Well, he just wins the tournament. That being said, 11.9. Now, I might be a little bit behind here, but 11.9. Game is tied. Texas, Purdue, 77-77 on the line. Braden Smith with the ball coming down. They run a little pick and roll goal screen and clear this out for Braden Smith. He drives the lane, misses the layup. TKR with the tap with 0.7 left. I'm telling you, there's something about experience. I thought Purdue was not going to cover this. Not only do they not cover, Texas with a great approach, but TKR with the tip-in win for Purdue. We might have this Arizona-Purdue schedule, but my goodness, Purdue advances to the Elite Eight. Don't overlook experience. I've said it, Billy. I've said it.
Well, and like, talk about the feel-good stuff, dude. Like, can there be any better feel-good story for the folks that get so mad with transfer portal and NIL and completely changing the course of your history? Those are three dudes that, like, they're going to have the lasting relationships that that romanticized around with college basketball. I mean, that's incredible, incredible stuff.
I'll ask it here, and then I want to get to some of those Final Four stories. I was thinking about it tonight. Like, we were down to three of them. We went down to New Orleans, we went down to Houston, and we went out to Phoenix. And those were great times, and you can see what the Final Four is, and I missed it. But unbelievable, just unbelievable in what this Purdue game ends out. But
that's wild, man.
Like,
I'm glad that you were on my side here, because I was all over Purdue laying the 8.5. I thought that
I didn't think it was going to be close.
I thought they were going to roll them. I thought Texas was finally going to crash out here as the 11 and run out of gas. Yeah. But I'm glad that I just tied up the Arizona Purdue money line parlay as a little bit of backup insurance, because I'm with you. I mean, like, that's the game that everybody wanted, and this is the good part about how this is all played out. I know that people love the upsets. We love the excitement. We love the Miami of Ohio. They got it. They got a game. They got a win. Sadly, you had the courtside seat for the moment, but ultimately, you want to see the teams that all year long were battle-tested and hardened. And Butchie, flying in the face of some of those different things on the selection show, where it was like, oh, this team has lost 4 games in a row, they can't go to the Final Four. Yeah, man, Purdue's 1 game away here from getting back there, and I am super happy for the way that they have been able to develop. Because Fletcher Lawyer, even though he looks like he's straight out of a prep school, and he still looks like he's about 14, knocking down as many triples as possible. That's a really, really cool story. And Painter still seems like one of the guys that is hard not to root for in the sport.
No, I mean, I agree. I think this Purdue team. So here comes the question: can they beat Arizona? I already have Arizona beating Arkansas. So I mean, we can start there. I'm gonna look up the line real quick.
I think it was ticking down to 8.5. 7.5, but that's the Acuff theory, right? Like, when you have the best,
8.5 is what the line is. Yeah,
when you got the best, when you got the I don't even know the best player. He's the talk player, right? Like, he's the one that's going to be all over First Take and everything else, that people are going to get excited about it. I struggle. You know a lot more about it, but Arizona, the way that they have played all year long, and their mix of some vets with just the young explosiveness that they have with the two freshmen is tough to top. But I'll be chewing it all the way through on Saturday, man. I'm definitely pulling hard for Purdue to be able to get there, because also you want to see the home game, right? Like, if there's a great crowning story,
that was the story with where the Final Four was. Final Four is in Indianapolis, if you don't know. So the story was all about, hey, how does, can Purdue do this? Again, remember, they were the number one team in the preseason.
Yeah.
Like this, it wasn't Arizona. It wasn't Michigan. It was all Purdue. They were the number one team. And I just think when you look at this group, they're so good. But Billy, Arizona has been elite. I mean, elite. And I just don't see it. I don't see it. And I think that game will be good. I think
that could be a national championship game. I mean, in all reality, like the talent and the caliber of those two teams, that could be a national title game, and nobody would be upset.
Correct. But the game of the night, I mean, we've had two elite games. This Illinois-Houston game, that line, and I had it in front of me, that line is, I think, 2.5. 2.5. Houston's minus 2.5. Now, I jumped on the field at 68 last night. The area where Illinois struggles is they give up mid-range jumpers. They give up the middies. What does Houston want? Mid-range jumpers.
Eat every one of those mid-range
jumpers. Every one of them.
Yep.
Now Illinois wants threes. So, this is going to be analytics versus the whole non-analytics approach, because mid-range twos are supposed to be terrible.
Oh yeah, but you're not.
But I'm a firm believer of it. I don't care. The ball goes through the basket.
Yes, listen, twos do also count. They do. They do still count.
Correct.
And Coach Sampson isn't going to pass up any points. So my heart is hardcore with the Cougs, and I've been pulling for Coach for a long time, since I was a freshman.
Yeah, your heart. What's your pocket say?
My pocket's also on Houston. Because this is the other part of it, Butchie, like the contrasting in styles, you still have to get stuff off against Houston, right? Like, they make you work the entire floor. Yeah. I also think the one, is it still sitting at 140.5 on the total?
I will pull that up, because
that's where I rolled Houston money line and the over on the parlay over at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, which is my favorite sportsbook in the entire world. But to be able to see both teams into the 70s, also you're giving yourself the cushion of this thing could start getting extended with 1:13 to go, because you're not going to have the problem that Nebraska did with Houston or Illinois, because both of those two teams are going to be in the double bonus probably with about 8 minutes to go.
Well,
I got a feeling.
I mean, Billy, I'm intrigued at how it's called. I really am. Like, I'm really intrigued to see how this game is called, because the physicality is going to be at a different level.
And you talk about a home game, strategic planning by Houston of just saying, hey, Rice, here, you can get your little kickback of the, what was it, $3 million for being the host team, but we're going to play here inside the arena. It's genius stuff. I also just think that the way, you want to talk about continuity, Houston might not have the same kind of continuity like a Purdue does. But Underwood, in those conversations, talking about the Final 4 years, some of my favorite, because he was just like, yeah, I'm going to have a completely new team every year. And just like as stone cold about it as possible. He's like, I get it. I know some people don't like it. I do. So sorry about it. That's just how I'm going to operate. And he's been doing a pretty dang good job of it. So that is that the game of the tournament in your eyes? Like, is that the matchup so far that we've got?
So far, yes. Now, Duke St. John's, I think, is right there. But this, like, I'm so intrigued with that one. I think the game of the tournament, to me, because I think this is how it plays out, Billy, is Michigan, Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I think the semi that Saturday, I think it's Michigan, Arizona. And I think that's your national championship game. Like, I think that's the reality. Like, I mean, I know there has to be a Monday game.
Yep.
And maybe I'm not giving Duke enough credit, especially if Caleb Foster plays.
That's a big.
There has been rumors he's going to try to go this weekend for Duke, and I think that changes the flow a lot. But right now, like to me, the two best teams all year long have been Michigan and Arizona. And I don't think it's been that close.
No, and the thing is too, they both are super confident in who they are, right? Like they know what they want to do. I mean, Michigan is as well-oiled of a machine as you possibly can have. And listen, it's also not surprising that May and Lloyd are the two guys that every single Carolina or Kansas list is going to top with, which now I think is also a hilarious conversation because, Brian, when did Arizona become a stepping stone job? Now, granted, I know Kansas was for Roy Williams over to North Carolina, but those are some serious buyouts that we're talking about right there. And Lloyd is one of the coolest, calmest cats in coaching, I think, in all sports. Yep. And Dusty May is just, right now, he's got the best possible thing. Maybe the best team in the country. The least pressure for a team that spends like all of the top teams. Does that make sense? Like football's always going to be number one at Michigan. You're never going to have to worry about every eyeball of every booster. But you know what you're not going to have to worry about is cash because there's a Jordan Brand school. They're not going to be short on it.
But Arizona is the opposite. And the pressure there. So I caught flack on Twitter. Shocking, right? Like that's what, or X. That's the reality of what it is.
Yeah.
People like the players don't feel the pressure. And this is where I will challenge, and I haven't got into it. You know, your boy Armin is going to get into it. I haven't got into it with Twitter because I'm not. But the reality of this, its reality, is the pressure of the coach does trickle down to players.
Oh, for sure.
And there's like, and Tommy Lloyd has pressure, whether that's pressure by himself to get through, whether it's the pressure of just the Arizona fan base in general. There's pressure there. And so that's the interesting thing I have. Do you think – let's start here, though, because I think that's going to be the matchup. But right now, Illinois-Houston. If Illinois doesn't beat Houston, like you might be looking at one Final Four team in the Big Ten after having 6 in. Does the Big Ten win a Big Ten – the Big Ten win a national championship?
I still think they're on Monday. I think they're there on Monday. I think they're on Monday.
Who's there then? Who?
See, now I'm not completely giving out my hope on Boiler and up. I'm still trying to choo coming up on Saturday, but I think Michigan's your best chance. And again, that's where
the only. I have Michigan State getting into the Final Four.
Yep.
I do. Their freshman guards have been better, and then the transfer guard Fort has finally knocked down some threes. They're going to need some of that. Jordan Scott's been good too for them. I have them getting to the Final Four in my bracket, but.
And I just jumped on them today at plus 475 as well.
Yeah, I also had Florida too. So I thought the Florida one really throws it all for a loss. And then you see what Iowa did. If you're just jumping in the stream, Purdue with a tip-in with 0.7 to go to the Elite Eight. Iowa with a big 3 by Bennett Sturts that gives them the 3-point lead. Then they go the baseball pass down the Florida Fulgaris as he gets the dunk and add one to give him 6-point lead. And they were able to close that out. The Iowa Hawkeyes and the great Gary Dolphin are going to the Elite Eight.
Man, that Fulgaris is a swaggy son of a bitch, ain't he? I mean,
there's no question, Billy.
Wow, is he having so much fun? He had to have been hilarious to cover like all year long to see that kind of confidence roll. But Sturts, he is waving to him to shoot it in the Florida game, and while everybody else is standing there, he's like, "Hey, there's a nobody on that end," and he's waving to him as well on the end zone cam. So. Yeah. What a moment that he's having in this tournament as well. But for the Hawkeyes, I get it that the Indiana national title in football was the one that everybody would be stunned about. But after all the frantrums that you had for years on end and really, really good teams.
I was just going to say, Billy, now those teams were good.
Really good teams.
Like really good teams.
Just never were able to have it seem like the control of the game that they do. I mean, granted, they had their first lead with a minute and a half to go, so tonight's not necessarily the best example. I didn't know that they were going to be able to come back that way, though, because I thought they had to play from ahead.
I didn't either. I thought it was one of those that I looked at and I said, Nebraska has this, and they did. For the majority of the game, they did. For the majority of the game, they did that. That being said, that's what March is. Like that. That's why there's enjoyment in March. That's why this is such a fun time. There's no question about it.
So now you bring that up, and let's go back to Michigan State, because my working theory is Izzo makes the run, hangs it up with a national title. He got them the massive money on the in-down. What did they get? $150 million gift to the athletic department.
Money's not an issue there. Yeah.
No, but we had to get that tied up. We had to get that loose end in. He doesn't hate the way college sports is going, but I don't think that he loves it. And also, I mean, like the way he's bringing all of his kids in and make sure we get the assistant coaches in here. I think he would be salivating at the possibility for it to be one final run to Indy and then ride off into
and to
the
win
sunset.
it. Yeah, if they win it, I think
away.
it is. I just think he's stubborn enough to say no.
Well, that's fair too.
I think he's stubborn enough to say I like going against the norm right now. I don't like where college basketball is, and I'm stubborn enough to say I'm going to stick around just to show you I can do it my way. Hey, if you got any questions, hit them up in the comments section. We'll get it for myself and Billy as well. But as we go through here, now I thought there was going to be when we set this up, I was like, all right, there's going to be multiple games going on. Well, that Texas-Purdue game went longer because it was tight, and this Iowa-Nebraska thing flew by, and we got a nice little intermission before this Arkansas, Arizona, Illinois, Houston tips off. Here's my thing. Do you enjoy these late tips by the NCAA? Because I don't, personally. Like, you have a great product.
Yeah.
This is, and I know it's low-hanging fruit, right? I get that. Like, people that don't watch college basketball are complaining. But realistically, there are, like, everybody wants to watch the tournament. Everybody does.
That's the problem.
And when you put it at 9 o'clock or, later during the first weekend, there's people, like my wife is sleeping right now. She's got to go to work tomorrow. That's the reality of what, there's a lot of people that said, oh, I'd really like to watch the games, but I'm just going to go to bed. Because they're not true diehards. If you're a diehard, you're in this thing. I get it, but it's just one of those deals.
Well, I grabbed an espresso shot before dinner because the morning
I did have a cup of coffee myself. I did.
Yeah, the morning show host in me right now hates the fact that they're starting this shit past 9 o'clock. It makes no sense. However, it's also the sport that NCAA, I can really go in here. They don't care about the fan. No. They don't. They don't at all. Brian, if they cared about what we were worried about and how we live our lives, they wouldn't tell you the start of the football game 6 days before the shit kicks off. So I can really go in on that, and I apologize. I should not be cursing. I should not be doing that.
Oh, you're safe in this. It's good. You can't do that in the mornings. You can get away with it.
Come on, what are we doing?
There's a lot of things we're going to be able to get away with. That's for sure. So,
but no. So I hate it. But also, the national title game starts at what? 8:39. It shows though. Again, man, Central Time Zone, almost it. Mountain Time to me is always the peak, right? I feel like their start times on everything. You got to live that for a little time in Denver. I feel like that's the sweet spot. Pacific, I mean, I don't know that I can be starting up brunch at 10 o'clock and having games. That's raising the blood pressure a little bit too early in the morning. So I think that's a sweet spot, but you will never catch me on the East Coast because you can't tip. That game's going to tip off at 10:30. How on earth are people going to live tomorrow, let alone work?
And correct. Exactly. And that's what happens is you lose some of it. So, Billy, I'm going to let you go because you got the morning show going. I appreciate you jumping in the den, my man. We're going to sit down and do one of these for a little bit longer so I can keep you. But you're a busy man. Make sure the radio world, the morning vocals are ready for you. 5 to 8. Tell everybody where they can hear you.
Fox Sports Radio Wisconsin. You can find us on YouTube. FSRWI is the easiest way to like and subscribe, and then we'll fire this thing up there. But Butchie, come on, tomorrow's the easiest show in the world. I got this. 14-2, the Brewers just dominate, and we get these great games.
162-0. Yeah.
We're gonna wake up in first place. Life could not be better.
Amen, brother. All right, thanks for joining, Billy. Appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for having me, brother.
As we're in intermission between the two games, Nebraska loses to Iowa. Texas loses to Purdue. Purdue with the tip-in by TKR with 0.7 left. We for sure have two Big Ten teams in the Elite Eight. We'll see if Illinois can find a win against Houston. Arkansas, Arizona, another good one. We're going to bring in Nick Olsen of 24/7 Sports right now. Nick, thanks for joining. We did this Selection Sunday. Now we're doing a little bit of a recap, a little bit of a Sweet 16 watch along as we go here. How are you doing, sir?
Butchie, I'm doing great, man. Anytime you ask me to come on, I'm making it happen, my friend.
Well, let's start here because I sent you a text around 4:00, but there might have been some good Wisconsin football news breaking, which is I could say this, you don't have to say this, which we haven't had a lot of that. So why don't you just tell everybody what happened on the Wisconsin football side of things, and then tell everybody where they can catch your work to get caught up if they didn't know what happened and make sure they get the full read.
Yeah, absolutely, Butchie. So, one amazing thing that's really happening right now, obviously they're working to get some more wins and such this upcoming year, but the recruiting has been terrific. And I think especially in this class of 2027, they're looking to close up the state. And so far, 5 commits, all of them from within the state lines. And this was one of the best yet. 4-star, top 247. I think we have him in the top 150 or so. Germantown offensive lineman Cole Ryder. Now, this is somebody that I've felt good about. I made a crystal ball last summer, actually. And, he took his time as he deserved, of course. He had offers from Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Kansas, Penn State, all over the country. Decides he visits one more time. Butchie, he visited nearly 20 times with the Badgers, makes the call this week. And, yeah, we had quotes from, his announcement and everything leading in. I know it took me a little bit to get back to you. So some really good news within the recruiting world for the Badgers.
No, I love it. Absolutely. That's fantastic to hear, especially because we heard that there was a significant financial bump from where the Badgers were at, which is always the conversation. That's where we're at. There's a significant financial bump that John Blackwell will be getting. Do you think he'll be getting that from the Badgers or elsewhere?
Yeah, Butchie, it's kind of the question of the offseason, right? I mean,
I'll start here though. I'll start here, Nick. I'm not mad if John has to leave. And I use the word has to. I want John Blackwell to come because John Blackwell can set records here with where he's at in the record books. John Blackwell can be the leader in a lot of records here at the University of Wisconsin. That's where he can be. Legacy-wise at Wisconsin, John Blackwell can have his name they're already all over the record books, but I mean the top of the record books.
Yeah, I think, my friend, it's the biggest question for Wisconsin, right? He's going to get a massive bump, and we don't have to, shy away that teams tried to get him during that sophomore season.
Correct.
Obviously comes back. Teams have been hitting him up since December, January, his agent, whatever that looks like, trying to get him into the portal. I think he really, really loves Wisconsin. Butch, yeah, I think he loves the loyalty aspect. They found him, have helped develop him. You see the passion and everything that he truly has for this program. From my understanding, man, I'm not going to make a prediction for sure with you, of course, but what I think is that Wisconsin is going to be in a spot to at least try to be competitive with it. Yeah. They're not going to have the highest offer. I mean, we know that because
it's going to be 60 or 70% of their budget. They're not going to do that. And I wouldn't do that.
Would. Yeah. And so there needs to be I don't love using the word discount because it's still a lot of money, but it would have to be some type of a hometown discount while acknowledging, you're obviously around the team as much more than me. He's very, very close with Winter. Very close with Janicki. I think he had a lot of fun for the most part this year. He said, obviously, he was dealing with some personal things, but program-wise, and they're so close. Man, I know we've talked about it.
So you're going to say that dealing with some personal things. What is the personal things?
So I don't know exactly. He had talked about,
Then I'll tell you right now. This is why you're touching it. That's why you tune into Butchie's Den. I'm going to tell you right now what the personal thing, not personal thing, but what one of the issues were. And it was obvious on the floor. I don't know for sure on this, because I didn't talk with Greg. I don't put my nose where it doesn't belong. But what I saw, and when I talked to a couple of other Big Ten coaches, and they told me what they saw as well, so I'm willing to double down on this, is that between Nick Boyd and John Blackwell, there was friction. And guys, who was going to be the guy? Because John's under the assumption I was going to be the guy. Well, Nick Boyd isn't going to take a back seat to anybody just based on the way that he plays. And I think for the longest time, Nick, that was where there was the internal conflict of, oh, man, this is supposed to be my team, and how do you come over? That being said, I thought both those guys, at the end of the season, the conflict was done. They finally found ways to play together. And that was in January.
Yeah, I do think that was a big part of it, and when you say friction, I think so much of it, Butchie, was just simply on the court figuring things out. And I think that's
Absolutely.
what you're, alluding to as well. Even Greg didn't necessarily shy away from that after the season. He said for a while there was some yin and yang, trying to figure things out. I think that the guys went at each other like intentionally, like one-on-one or competitiveness a lot of the summer. You saw that. I got to see that a little bit. And I think that was part of it. And then it was figuring out, hey, how are we going to play together within this, 3-on-3, 3-on-4, 5-on-5 setting. So I do think that's accurate. I don't think there's a question of how much he is truly and literally valued from the staff. But, I mean, we know this. And man, I rock with you and watch some of your Field of 68 stuff. So, those guys talk about it just as I do. Basically, some of these schools are just printing money, essentially. Kentucky, BYU, Texas Tech, some of the blue bloods. And so it just gets a little bit crazy. I think from what I'm hearing early,
right now.
I'm somewhat optimistic from what I'm hearing early. I think from my understanding, a lot of the, big time people are really hoping to make an impact financially and have this group be a contender. I think they really, really like Greg Gard. I'm sure you know that. But it's all going to see because as we know, man, it needs to play out here pretty quickly.
Well, and it's starting. Obviously, if you're just joining the stream right now, but a lot of the transfer portal opens after the Final Four. That's when it officially happens. There's one in Jack Robinson that's already in the transfer portal has come out. Have you heard anybody else that might be there?
Yeah, so I from what I've heard, I guess I would say most of the guys, I think that you think of rotational wise, are expected back. And Wisconsin, I even reported it in the story this week. I think it was a really good in-depth one. They're working to bring back Nolan Winter, who I think he really wants to finish out here. Ozzie Rapp, Bielauskis. I will tell you, Kins and Garlock are locked in already. They were in spots. Were coming in as a freshman. They were already locked in and ready for this. You're getting a couple new freshmen.
What do you mean exactly?
Yeah. For those that maybe don't know, contract wise, I believe they had signed 2-year deals or they re-upped early. I think they were 2-year deals, but either way, they're set. So they will be back.
I'm glad you said that and not me. I'm glad. I'm not I'm glad you said that it wasn't me. So
yeah, some of the rotation and things, and I think it's just a crazy time, right? I mean, it really is, but it's the fact of the matter. And, I trust obviously where I've been able to hear that. And I think that there's a chance that, you can bring back a lot of those dudes, Brian. You really can. I just think it's going to come down to, do we empty the pot for Blackwell? Is there still space for a really good playable impact transfer? What does that look like? I think there should be. I think Gard has earned the benefit of the doubt to at least give him one all-in year with the development, with the regular season wins. I know they got to get over the hump. I know that, we talk, but when you see how they're kind of trying to, put in and kind of help and fund some of the other sports, I think Gard deserves a shot, especially with the amount that they fundraise and stuff themselves.
No, there's no question. I'll say this: there was a lot of hate out there, especially in the Madison radio world. There was a lot of hot takes from the Madison radio world as well. You know what? This is YouTube. I'll just say it. It's stupidity. What it is it's people trying to get clicks, and I'm not a big fan of that kind of media. I get it. Trust me. I saw Greg after the game. I sat with him right as we were about to get on the buses, and the look in that man's face was one that I'll never forget. I mean, to his core, it hurt. I mean, to its core, and rightfully so. I get it. He wants it more than anything because of what he's building, how he's going about it. He knows what this group had the possibility to do it, and it's just kind of the reality of what this is. But as far as if he's the right guy, what are we doing, Nick? What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I always try to be diplomatic and play it cool with folks, but
you can be. They're dumb.
No, but there's no question, Butchie. There's he is absolutely the man, and I mean it's crazy because 2 weeks prior they had 5 of the best wins in the country, right?
And, those didn't go anywhere, Nick. Those didn't go anywhere. It's
just a point of And, we talked about it. We literally did. And it's nothing crazy. We were talking off air. We thought they had a great shot in that first game. Then if you fall to Acuff, maybe the best player in the country, so be it. So it's intriguing, but I don't have a doubt in my mind. You know that. I honestly think he's a top 15, 20 coach. And I think they just did they lose? I wrote about it too. Did they lose to High Point because of resources? No. But is there the opportunity to put some more resources, funding into the program, continue that development, retention, and really have a strong top 8 or 9 next year? I think so. And that's a top 20 to 25 team. And then you see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, I want to let you go. I know it's your buddies, and you're at your buddy's house right now. And I appreciate you finding a quiet room, make time. You're one of the hardest working people that covers the Badgers all the time, 24/7. Make sure you get there, Badgers 24/7. Anything else you want to let the people know?
No, that means a lot to me, my friend. Truly, we'll keep cranking with football recruiting stuff Friday, and then some portal talk next week, guys.
All right, love it. Appreciate it, Nick. Thanks so much.
See you soon. Appreciate you.
As we got intermission of the Sweet 16, we've got Iowa 77-71 win over Nebraska, and we've got Purdue 79-77 over Texas with a tip-in. And now we're going to welcome in Alex Thomas from The Score and Woodward Radio Group. The Illini fan is there. So first, before we talk about Illinois Houston, because I want to get your thoughts on this.
Sure.
As you're our last guest here on Butchie's Den, the little Sweet 16 watch party we're doing here. How bad does it hurt to see Iowa get to the Elite Eight?
I think it hurts more for Nebraska. I think exactly. We know. It's not good. I'd love that we're gonna have Big Ten representation possibly if Illinois wins in the Final Four. But as an Illinois fan, if they get past Houston, that's a massive if. Houston is a really, really, really good basketball team. If it's Illinois, if they're fortunate enough to advance, and it's Illinois, Iowa, and they lose, that is the epitome of brutality. That would really hurt.
Especially after the Underwood, McCaffrey, all the above. Yes. That's where it's at. So,
Brian, a question I have for you with Iowa, now advancing to the Elite Eight. First year head coach Ben McCullum, and you take them to the Elite Eight. Now, what are the expectations? It's a great problem to have in Iowa. They were a good team this year in the Big Ten. They played a lot of teams really well. They played Michigan well. They played the top of the Big Ten very closely. I wouldn't necessarily say they had some marquee wins, but they finally got their marquee win on Sunday, and then tonight, of course, against Nebraska.
Well, yeah, they were a 9 seed for a reason. And I think the expectations, this is the first time they've been in the Sweet 16 since 1999. Mm-hmm. They've had really good teams with Fran McCaffrey, really, really good teams. This can't be the expectation.
I agree.
And this is, Alex, here's the other thing. This is my biggest issue with college basketball in general right now, is that's all you're judged on. You don't necessarily need to have a great regular season, but you make a deep run in March, and now all of a sudden that's the conversation, and you're the greatest thing ever. Now, when you look at McCollum and Ben and what he's been able to do at Iowa, mm-hmm. He also did at the Division II level. He's tapped into success in March, and that's the thing that I look at. Now, I think at Iowa he's going to be able to do enough, and the question will be how does he rebuild from that group without Bennett Sturts? You look at what Bennett, how do you do that? That'll be the interesting thing that I look at with this Iowa group. But to me, it's been a good group. It's been fun. They played well. I didn't think they were great when Wisconsin played them. I saw them live. Mm-hmm. I didn't look at that group and say, this is a team that can really get into it. Their physicality has definitely picked up.
Sure.
That's been the biggest thing.
The role players have been spectacular in the NCAA tournament. That Bennett Sturts is awesome. Without him, they're not where they are right now. I'm not saying that. But Fulgaris has been great. Tate has been. He's been put out.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
They've had a lot of guys that have chipped in, and there's a reason why they're going to the Elite Eight, because they're playing their best basketball of the season.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we've got tip-off coming up here in Illinois, Houston. We've got tip-off Arkansas, Arizona going on. We're going to go about another 5 or 10 minutes here in Butchie's Den and let everyone get out and watch these games. But what do you see with this Illini team? I'm nervous for them. For this reason, they give up a lot of mid-range twos. Mm-hmm. What does Houston want? A lot of mid-range twos. Flemings is pretty darn good in what he's able to
awesome.
get to. He wants to get to those mid-range. Now, I think the key for the Illini is their bigs and their stretch bigs. They're going to have to knock down some threes with the way that Houston guards.
Yeah, this Houston team is they're tough as heck. Like that is their DNA. It's a Calvin Sansom team. They're going to be a problem physically for Illinois. We've seen from Illinois this year is when they played the more physical teams. We saw it. Point A with Michigan. Michigan came into Champaign and they took care of business, and they are a much more physical team. However, the one thing I will say about Houston, they've scored 80 points twice this year. So if this gets into a track meet type of game, I think it favors Illinois, but that's not necessarily style that Illinois has played whatsoever all year. These teams are both really slow with the tempo. So I don't think this is going to be a high scoring type of game. But if you're Illinois, the number is 13. If they have fewer than 13 turnovers and they make more than 10 threes, they're going to have a chance to win this game tonight.
Illinois up 2-0 off of an offensive rebound putback. And I think that's one of those things you don't see against Houston a whole lot. And I think that's the interesting thing early on for Illinois to be attacking the glass. It was one of the things that was said at the Big Ten tournament against Wisconsin. Wisconsin bullied Illinois. And Brad was like, enough is enough. Like, we're either going to do this or not. And I think that's the thing that I look at with this. We've seen Illinois start to dominate this during the NCAA tournament. A lot of it's been that physicality. So
they had a great path too. Let's be honest, Brian. Like, you play Penn and then UNC loses. They've had about as good of a path to the Sweet 16 as you can get. And now you're going to take on the big boys in Houston too, which I think is really not as big of a deal.
More pressure on Houston, Alex.
I agree. And Houston, they went to the title game last year, did not win. And this is probably, who knows what Sampson is going to do after this season. My guess is he'll come back, but I think there is some pressure in that locker room to get back to that title game and finish the job.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think it'll be a good one when you look at what this is right now. You look at Illinois, their ability to stretch the floor. They're going to try to create matchups. That's all going to be in front of them. But like I said, I appreciate you joining the den here and having a conversation on this. I wanted to get an Illini approach to it, but
that's right.
Tell everybody what you're doing. You're not on air as much. You've moved over to the management role, like BJ ran over to the management role, just like Justin Hulme ran over to the management role. All you guys don't ever want to be on air. All you want to become is all managers. Then you realize, oh my goodness, unbelievable.
Brian, I want to let the talent be the talent. I am not talented enough to speak on the air like you were, or you are.
Neither am I. There's a reason Neither am I. There's a reason I don't have a radio show anymore.
Hey, but you got a heck of a podcast going, and you're doing watch parties like this.
I can't even fill in on the score.
We can make that happen, Brian. Don't you worry. I know your agent. We're good.
All right. Well, you go enjoy the Illini. I want to say thank you to everybody for joining Butchie's Den Sweet 16 viewing party. It was fun. We're going to try to run something back possibly in the Final Four as well. But it's a great time of year. Enjoy it. We have had some great college basketball. As I always say, college basketball always delivers. You just got to pay attention to it. Thanks for joining us.